to the military asked for Trump to run, and they're about to put Obama out of office. Um, that's a very problematic statement, and I just want to address it because I know that this isn't the only person who believes this. Being somebody who's formerly active duty military, I can tell you for one, there is no monolith of thought in the military. Are there people who are conservatives in the military? Yes. Are there people who would be so-called rhinos in the military? Yes. Are there people who are socialist communists who have no political affiliation? Yes. So whenever anybody says that the military is behind this president or that president, know that it's completely subjective. Yes, you can have certain members, but a lot of the people who were pushing behind Trump, honestly, were former military, not active duty. Because for one, when you're active duty military, there's regulations against certain kinds of speech in the first place. That's one of the first things that I want to point out. Secondly, the average age of people in the military is 23. Most 23-year-olds do not give a damn about none of this Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. They don't care about none of this crap. These are people who, the people who feel that passionately about a Trump or politics are typically much older people, and a lot of times they're people who are no longer in the military or were never in the military. Another thing I would say is, even if a person was in the military and did want or felt Obama was doing something so badly, one thing we have in the military is a thing called the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ. You are just not going to decide that you're going to set up somehow a nationwide coup on the president. Because for those who don't understand it, the president is the commander-in-chief. He is the leader of the military. In order for you to even try to do something like that, you would have to try to organize members all across the military. And I don't know how you would do that and collaborate that somehow and secretly to get millions of people all on one accord to somehow overthrow the president. And for what? What would you be overthrowing a president for? Because you don't like some of the policies that they do? I mean, what is it that you would be even overthrowing, and for what reasons? When I was in the military, I went in, I was under Bush. I despised Bush. Many of us in the military despised Bush, but was any of us actually going to do a coup on Bush? That just sounds insane to even think about doing. For one, you're committing high treasons, which means that you're setting yourself up to end up in front of a firing squad or at the end of a rope. That's not something that most young people are going to do. To have that kind of dedication and loyalty to a political figure is unheard of. I mean, that's almost like ISIS or Al-Qaeda, like, loyalty. I can tell you this, people in the military for the most part are going to follow orders as long as they're lawful orders. A perfect example, which I would tell people about how the military would not just go along with something like that, is look at the movie Crimson Tide. In the movie Crimson Tide, you have a captain who receives a set of orders, and then the communications are broken off, so you're not able to authenticate those communications to go forward with that act. The XO or executive officer chose to follow protocol or procedure, and he felt like he was following procedure. The captain felt like he was following procedure, and that divided the crew. If you were in a scenario like that, for one, it would be extremely dangerous for everybody involved. And also keep in mind, you have other enemies, other militaries. To divide your own military in that way would leave you extremely vulnerable from outside attack from other military forces. Not to mention the kind of turmoil that you would do if you decided to even go to those lengths. Say, for instance, if you did believe that the president was needed to be yanked out of office, you would literally be leading us into basically a second civil war in this country. So, I mean, I don't think people really think of the gravity of what it would take to even get to something like that, and the consequences and repercussions of what that would entail if you did something like that. So I just want people to kind of think these things out when they say them, and start throwing these ideas around. The same thing with a second topic, which I've heard battered around from different people. Oh, well, if the military was used in an authoritarian manner, you know what? They wouldn't fire on fellow Americans. I'll tell you that is not true. If a fellow American is deemed an enemy of the state, you can be rest assured that these lieutenants and captains, if it is considered a lawful order, will order them out there, and these troops are not going to be like, oh, well, you're my fellow American, I'm not going to harm you. No, it's not going to work that way. If they feel you're a threat, they're going to put you down like a threat. So just some of these notions of what is and what the military would do and what they wouldn't do, people need to stop going by what they see one or two people say, or if they hear a couple of, military, even if they're active duty military, that they would do X or they think X. Most military members, because of the UCMJ and being careful with saying anything that would go against the commander-in-chief, you're not even hearing their actual perspectives, majority of them. For instance, when I was in the military, there's no way I would have ever done any kind of interview or put my opinions on social media, because if somebody in my chain of command perceived that anything that I was saying was contrary, or just that it was inciting any kind of thing or showed some kind of division in the military, it could get me brought up on charges. And so I just think that we got to kind of think these things out sometimes when we say them, or we start running with some of these ideas of the military was about to basically do a coup on an elected president. And that they would actually, like, a lot of people felt like that the military was going to do some kind of, I don't know, military actions to keep Trump in office. The military is not a political football. They're not going to do crazy stuff like that. That's just not logical thinking. But hopefully that clears up some of this misunderstanding. Again, I'm not trying to per se go after the individual that believes that. I'm just trying to explain some of the perspectives of the military. And I guess in close, I'll throw one more thing out there. I've heard plenty of people say, oh, well, why would somebody even join the military if the military does all of these different horrible things in this country and that country and that country? One thing I'll explain: the military is extremely compartmentalized. Everybody does not know everything. There are a lot of things which, if you're in this unit or this MOS or in this theater, you're going to see certain things or possibly do certain things and have certain experiences. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to experience or see the same things. You could be in a command where you're basically on base, you're doing basically PMS or basically maintenance, and you're just doing your simple job, almost like working a 40-hour normal work week, some duty in there also. But you're not seeing any kind of crazy war crimes or any of the stuff that some people think that is going on rampant throughout the military. So just wanted to throw those points out there. Hopefully this video was helpful. And if anybody has anything that they'd like to add to it, I definitely would love to hear it in the comment section, or anything that you'd like to refute that I said, please go on ahead. Thank you.